So there's many reasons when you were filling out a college or university application, there were a lot of choices you could have taken. You know, you could have taken computer science, you could have taken accounting, finance. Why did you pick translation? Can you tell me? Why did you pick translation?
Oh, great. First thing in the morning. Well, let's see. I chose translation. It was a second choice, to be quite honest. My first choice was Queens. Don't ask me why my first choice was Queens. I came from Oakville. And I wanted to learn languages, because essentially I wanted to be an interpreter, because I still believe in the whole idea of the world will be a better place if we can all communicate with each other. Yeah, I'm still that naive person. And so I was like, oh, translation, that works. And originally I thought it would be too constricting, and I was like, oh no, I have elective space to take language courses. All right, that's cool. And I'll like learn a usable skill I can build on in order to be an interpreter. That was my thought process. I'm a little weird though. I said that. No, it makes sense. I mean, you want people to communicate, you know. I'm an outgoing, bubbly person.
So you picked translation because you wanted to make a difference. You wanted to help people communicate better.
Yes.
And that's your contribution to society, right? So who else? Who else wants to tell us why you picked translation?
Catherine does.
I do?
Let's go around the table.
The easy version is I picked translation because I love languages. I love playing with languages, playing with words. So it seemed like a good fit for me. And I've known French since I was very, very young anyways. So it just seemed like a natural choice for me.
So what was the deciding factor between choosing translation, let's say being your first choice, and over the next alternative? Like what was the deciding thing you said, okay, I'm going to go with this?
I think I always knew I was going to go into something like translation, or at least I did once people started pressuring me, oh, what are you going to take once you graduate? You know, that sort of thing. That just seemed like the right choice for me. I didn't really consider that many other alternatives.
Okay. You had your hands up.
Oh, me. Yeah, I actually had no idea what I was going to do up till like the very last time that you can decide in like grade 12. I was like, oh no, sciences, but I like math, but I'm not doing too well, but I really love languages and I love history and I love learning about everything pretty much. So I went to Ottawa U Day and they had presentations about various things. And, I went to a psychology one, I really liked that. So I was considering either psychology or something in languages because I love French. And I love English.
But not Spanish.
I would love to learn Spanish. I don't know enough Spanish, but I'm sure I would love Spanish. I love languages. I love communications. I love, just being able to understand everything that's going on. And when I'm put in an environment where there's French people and English people and Vietnamese people, because that's what I remember from when I was younger. My family has always been very multilingual.
Mm.
So I would just sit there and I would understand everything, and I would be like, wow, this is so cool. I wish everybody could understand each other because they have to use the connecting language, even though they're essentially a unilingual Vietnamese or unilingual English, So they would have to try to bridge the barrier, and I was like, but I know what's going on. I could interpret. So I didn't realize it was a job. Yeah, I didn't realize it was a job until I actually came to the University of Ottawa. They had presentations, like I was saying. I went to second language teaching because that sounded really cool, and then I went to French immersion presentations. And then I went to a translation one. The university, they were describing, you have to have really good, your B language skills to be able to translate it to your A language. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. I write really well in English. I'm really creative with words. I love playing with words. And so I was like, this is absolutely perfect. I want to do this. I've never wanted anything so badly in my life. I want to get into this program. So I'm here and I'm so happy.
Okay. So it looks like the three of you have a common theme, is the love of languages, is the desire to make a difference, helping the world communicate better, and using your gifts to make contribution in that area, right? That's the common theme. And have you met a lot of very successful translators and interpreters? And do you know what is their common characteristic?
Okay. I would just say they're happy.
So I must be a translator.
No, I mean the people who talk about their job and they just seem to really enjoy it. I would say that's
But they could be an accountant.
Yeah, exactly. Not necessarily a translator. That's for anybody, I think.
Common
Feel
thread
passionate
of translators. Common thread of translators. They probably enjoy how much they learn too.
Yeah. I like the variety.
Yeah,
I
because
feel like translators are always very curious to learn about all sorts of things.
Yeah, so the curiosity, yeah.
Professional translators that I've come across are always super interesting to listen to. They just know all this stuff.
because you have to translate for it,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, did you know this and this? And like, how do you know that? Oh, text I have to translate. Well, this one's like,
Yeah.
all the things.
So curiosity and well-informed about a variety of topics that's going on in the world, current affairs.
Also, I find drive.
Translators are usually really motivated.
Yeah.
Or any good translator, any happy translator. So they have to be
The
motivated.
depressed ones.
True. Now that I think about it, it's probably true.
There are a lot of very depressed translators out there. You just haven't met them.
It's because they're in a cubicle.
Yeah, so I mean, interpreting is a completely different profession. But when you are in translation, you spend your day doing a lot of writing. So you have to be able to write very well. So that ability to write, like communicate through written communication. And when you translate very specialized text, or even general text or government text, you have to do a lot of research. So the research skills, I mean, that's somewhat related to the curiosity piece, where you have to find out how things work or what this term is written. So if you spend the time to talk to a lot of translators, you probably would have an opportunity to develop a profile of what a successful translator looks like. And like writing, translation is a solitary activity, which means it's not like the kind of work where you're talking to people all the time. Like you're on your own, doing your own work most of the time. There might be some communication here and there, talking to your colleagues and whatnot. But for the most part, it's a solitary activity. So this is sort of the approach I would recommend taking in any profession that you want to take, is by talking to people that have done really well, but also look at the key activities, the key things they'll be doing. So is this a solitary activity? Is this a social activity? Because there's a lot of professions related to translation. So once you come out of here, you can be a translator, you can be an interpreter. And on my next slide, you can be a resource manager. Like JR is interning in my office right now, and he knows that at least in a multilingual office, I think in any French translation agency too, they spend, because you can only do so much work in-house. You always have to have resources to subcontract your overflow to, and there's a person's job who's to look for translators that qualify and test them and communicate with them, negotiate with them. A project manager, because the clients have to send the work to you, so they have to give you the order. There might be some complications, the files are cropped, or there's specific format, or they might have a video. There's all kinds of situations. They might be a new client. Are they going to pay? Do you want to do a credit check? So in a translation office, or even in the translation bureau, in the government, or if you work for a not-for-profit association in the role of a translation coordinator, you have to deal with a lot of clients, maybe internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. There's many different jobs that are related to translation that are not 100% translation. So in order for you to be completely fulfilled and happy at your job, you have to understand, first of all, what you like. I want an environment that, is this, this, and this. And then you look at the job and you say, does this environment or this job in particular offer these elements that really get me up, during the morning? I would be excited to go to work. So those are all the things that you should consider.
What were the other ones that were on there? You had top publishing personnel and translation learning.
I'm gonna. You can have the slides after,
Okay,
so you don't have to take notes. And anything you see on the screen, you can have. And I'm also recording this so that it'll be like an audio file that if probably put it online somewhere that you can download and listen to. Yeah. So when you make that choice, you have to think in 3 circles, and where the 3 circles overlap is what you call is the sweet spot. And that sweet spot is where you should invest your time and energy. So the 3 things are what you love to do, what you do well, and where the opportunities are. You could love doing something, but you're really bad at it. Then that's not something you should pursue. I love to dance, but I have no sense of rhythm, so that's not something that would, be a rewarding activity for me.
You still enjoy it.
Yeah, you can still go, but I hate to look really bad in front of other people. So pick something that you love to do, but you're also good at. But then there's also the opportunities piece. You don't want to get into a profession that's like a dying profession. There's a lot of careers that are outgoing careers. I mean, as society emerges and whatnot, like print journalism is, going through. It's not where the opportunities are. Where social media and that kind of stuff is on the rise. So you have to look at the way our society is right now. What is on the rise? What is on the decline? Where are the major opportunities? Combine that with your interests and what you do really well. And then find that you come up with the 3 big circles, you stack them. And then where they overlap is only this little area. And that's your sweet spot. And that's where you should focus. Write it down, print it out, put it in the mirror that you look in the morning. And remind yourself, this is what I should do. This is where I'm going to do really well.